A church where biblical family life is highly valued, where husband and wife embrace male servant leadership and joyful female submission, where godly parenting is taught and practiced, and where the special value of singleness and its unique opportunities are affirmed.
So biblical understanding would be that you would see the husband as having a position of authority within the home, head of the home. There is a leadership responsibility there. How is that carried out? I guess some people would resist it, thinking, well, surely that sets up a bullying regime. You're saying you give this guy the authority. What about the poor wife and kids, you know?
Paul is very clear. The New Testament is very clear and ordered in the whole way in which this is taught. And certainly it's possible for someone in a position to quote one section and to say to his wife, you're supposed to submit yourself to me. That's really not the point. The point is that the wife is addressed from the Bible. Her role is clear, his role is clear. And for each of us to obey the role that is set out for us. And I think there needs to be, especially in Christian marriage, a clear underlining of that. So most churches would have marriage preparation courses where the Christian value of marriage is talked about. And so godly elders, responsible church leaders, will encourage people who say, we're going to get married. So, oh, well, we would love you to come through our marriage preparation program where we sit, look at the Bible together. What do we feel about what the Bible says about these values? Because the day you get saved, you put your hand up in a meeting, I've got my sins forgiven. You don't realise I'm being brought into now a completely different culture, a different value system, completely different worldview. And these things need to be taught. They need to be taught on Sundays in the church, publicly, so that even all the singles hear the values of marriage. And then they need to be taught in a more internal situation where we can sit and talk and evaluate and discuss. Are we all ready for this? We understand this. What do you want to promise? And so when we were married, Wendy said, no, I want that line in, I will obey. I mean, some people want to avoid that. But she said, no, I want to say that. Been working it out ever since, of course. But she would want to say that, and we want to come back to that all the time. And I need to all the time come back to, am I really making choices that honour her, respect her, and sacrifice for her? It's a constant reminder that one has to come back to. And I think it's something, it needs to be agreed, covenanted in marriage.
I suppose anyone wanting to kind of wield those verses as a husband, you're supposed to submit to me, would be missing the point that their leadership is to be a servant-hearted leadership for the benefit of their wife. So hopefully that she would appreciate having that in her life.
Absolutely. And I think that it's again in a culture, a context where this is commonly taught in the church, and there should be good models of that kind of lifestyle being lived out by the church's leaders, so that it's on display. And if we see women being crushed, that should be very evident, because that's not being modelled by church leaders. Women are, I trust, being given room and space, but there's a different role. And it reflects the Trinity, that in the Trinity, each member of the Trinity is very God. And when Thomas bowed down to Jesus and said, my Lord and my God, nevertheless you find in Jesus a submission to the Father, and not so, I'm not going to do it your way. I'm equally God. I don't want to do it this way. You find, he says, this is the cup the Father's given me. And there's a very real submission within the Trinity, though he is still God. And we are working out family life reflecting something of Trinity, where equally we are valued, made in God's image, made in God's likeness, but having different roles, just as within the Trinity, equally God, different roles. It never says the Son sent the Father sent the Son. And we're reflecting those relationships.